talking about the ancient mind as of recent, and I'm really going over it, and I'm really now starting to talk about how it affects our judgment, right? So if you have a lack of self-worth, you're a codependent, and you have a lack of freedom for your choices, it's really going to affect your judgment call on what's your own truth and what's going to happen next in your own transition. So this is the reasons why I fight against this all the time, because all of this becomes a massive, massive part in your judgment of having a life of freedom and having a life of identity change, transition, and really actually enjoying life for what it really is. This thing stops you from all of that, and it affects your judgment. So sometimes when we don't have this, we'll have a confrontation with someone else who doesn't have any of this, and then we end up going down to their level, and it affects our judgment of what our self-worth really is. So you can see how we affect each other with this ancient mind, our self-worth, codependence, and the lack of freedom for our own choices and having them respected by other people. It affects attitudes, it affects beliefs, it affects a lot of things. Like, this thing is really bad. So for me, it's learning how to actually encompass all of this and learning how to trust your own judgment. You've got to learn discernment. And that's one thing that codependency doesn't allow you to do, because it's allowing you to choose everything outside of you. So if you're actually putting your meaning on everything else outside of you, it affects your judgment. It affects what is really best for you, and you know what is best for you. Sometimes, it's really simple for someone to make a blog to tell you that you know what's best for you and don't worry about anyone else. And so sometimes when we go to the outside and we run to people, these people have their own problems. And so the ancient mind is now starting to affect all of us, because we go to people that don't have very good self-worth. They are codependents, so they want you to live your life the way they live theirs. And so we end up not having a good sense of judgment for what's good for us. Sometimes we really need to look at it for what the truth really is. And, the ancient mind affects our judgment, and learning discernment is vital to becoming who you really want to be. So when you enter into transition, you know that all of these things, which a lot of people have issues with this, affects judgment calls for what's best for you. So sometimes what we really have to do is go within. And that's, where my blog first started, was actually how to go within, because truth exists within. It doesn't exist outside of you. So realistically, all of this impacts your own judgment call in your own life. So just really remember that the ancient mind, it's not really, I've never liked it for a long time now. Learn to really challenge people, learn to really say, well, I just don't want any of your life. This is my judgment call and where I'm going to head next in my transition and my identity change. And it really works, it really does. So learning discernment and learning how to make judgment calls is vital to your transition. So all of these play a massive part on your judgment and where you're going to head next in your transition.